Hello and welcome back to another out-of-spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Next to me here I have my friend Eric all the way from Canada, and he runs Drive Protected. He actually just finished up a full satin black PPF on our friend Dan's spotted model on Twitter's brand new Tesla Cybertruck. And today, both Eric and I are going to discuss why you should probably go for colored PPF instead of vinyl wrapping your Tesla Cybertruck. So welcome back. Let's jump into it. Well guys, here we have Eric in this freshly wrapped Tesla Cybertruck. Actually, freshly PPF'd Tesla Cybertruck. Yep. So Eric, introduce yourself a little bit. I know you've been here before with Brandon working on his car. What are you in your business? What are you guys all about?
So Drive Protected, we started off doing paint protection film, ceramic coatings, paint corrections, that type of thing back in 2016, 17. In 2020, we started getting into doing the DIY paint protection film side of the market. We saw that there was an opportunity there with the DIY side really starting to take off. And there was really no companies out there that was providing expert guidance and support for people that wanted to do paint protection film themselves. Now, long story short, we specialize in just Teslas at the moment. We have a training academy with videos on how to install every single panel for every single Tesla model out there, including the Cybertruck. And just recently, like about 6 months ago, we started expanding beyond clear and matte paint protection film, and we ventured into satin black paint protection film for the Tesla Cybertruck. We've done a number of them already, and it's been a hit so far. It really transforms the Cybertruck and makes it stand out even more on the road, if you can believe that that's even possible.
It sure does, dude. This satin on here, first off, looks incredible. The finish is unbelievably impressive. It's extremely smooth. And no, this is not just basic vinyl wrap. Now, I think in this video, really my kind of premise here is, okay, so a lot of people are getting their Tesla Cybertrucks. I've been on the side of figure out how to clean the stainless steel, protect it, because fingerprints are annoying. I think we can all agree on that. The stainless steel really shows that. But I think a lot of people are going kind of the cheaper alternative and going into vinyl. Now, my personal opinion on vinyl is it's great to just quickly change the aesthetic of the vehicle. I mean, you can get a very similar effect for arguably less money than PPF, but there are some major differences between vinyl wraps and paint protection film. First off, I think gloss vinyl never has the appearance of paint protection film.
Oh, never.
In general.
Yep.
When you get into these deeper, richer colors, the finish to me just looks so much higher quality on paint protection film. Now, from your experience, what is that from? Is that due to the actual material being thicker? Is it just, like, I always wonder why vinyl can't look that good. I mean, vinyl's been getting better. You see companies like Anozatec, other high-end companies like that arguably are getting to the point they look like paint, but still a lot of them, even 3M, Avery, they still don't look that good, especially in gloss.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point right there. In my personal opinion, what I think it is paint protection film. It's got a really heavy-duty automotive clear coat that's built into it. This film's also got a bit of a hydrophobic top coat to kind of give it that ceramic coated type effect, even though it's not a ceramic coating. But yeah, it really enhances, and it just really enhances the gloss and shine, depending on what color you're getting. Like this is satin black, so it's got a real nice sheen to it. We've also worked with a matte black film, which obviously doesn't have the sheen, but it works out really, really well too. So, okay. And I think a lot of that is also because the film is so much thicker as well too than vinyl. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a big thing to me.
Just naturally, they're totally different kind of use cases. Paint protection film and colored PPF is actually relatively new. How long has it been really in the industry? A couple years?
Man, I'd say probably 3 years tops. Maybe a bit longer for some of the earlier brands, but it's really started to catch hold in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're seeing some very high quality work out of a lot of different shops. I'll be the first one to say I'm not the biggest PPF guy. I have my own reasons for that. Eric and I probably need to do a video eventually,
Yeah.
kind of going back and forth of somebody who is very dedicated in doing paint protection film and myself who is very dedicated in doing paint correction, ceramic coatings. But I really think this kind of strikes a neat balance, especially when we're getting into colored PPF. My personal opinion, I really don't think that clear film looks the greatest on the stainless steel. It very much changes the texture of the stainless steel. And it's like, okay, I get the idea of it,
Yeah.
but you don't have that really cool stainless steel look.
I think the stainless, when you put clear PPF over the stainless steel, it kind of enhances, but also diminishes the stainless steel a bit by making it a bit more glossy. Ultimately, the only benefit you're going to get then is you're not going to have the fingerprints. That's
Sure.
pretty much it.
Yeah, and I guess you can arguably wash it like, a normal painted vehicle at that point. You're not worried about using, Barkeeper's Friend like I've done, different glass cleaners to get fingerprints off. Okay, that's all cool. To me, it's like you have the stainless steel. It's such a cool raw finish on
Yep.
there that I think hiding that looks a little strange. The gloss makes it too glossy in my
Yep.
opinion. It kind of deepens the color, which I don't love. And then the satin, it just takes the whole stainless steel appearance away. And in my opinion, it's like, why not go something and do it like this and make it a totally different color? Because honestly, doing clear or stealth PPF
Yep.
gets really expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you take it to a reputable shop. I've been seeing quotes for people, between $6,000 and $10,000.
Yep.
That's very dependent on, are you in an urban area? Are you more rural? Like if you go out to LA, I mean, I know shops are charging an arm and a leg to get
Yep.
these done. Seriously.
Yeah, no, definitely. Price is definitely going to depend where you're at in the country. Where I'm at, I'm actually from Canada, so I'm in a very rural area, city of only 14,000 people. So this wrap would retail right around the $600 to $6,500 range.
Is that in Canadian or US?
That's Canadian. So US, that would probably be about 4,500-ish, maybe a
Okay.
bit more.
And that's for PPF.
Yeah.
That sounds unbelievably reasonable. Now, the interesting thing I think about you is you've created basically DIY PPF. You quickly touched on that. That is a massive thing that I personally, when I heard you were coming out here, I'm like, you're really sending PPF to people?
Yeah.
Because PPF is not the easiest thing in the world to install.
No, you're right. It's not.
And I think you've created a very unique way for people who are wanting to put paint protection film on their car, not to go spend $8,000, $10,000 to get
Yep.
something like a Model 3, a Model Y, fully PPF. They can do it at home, save all the money on the labor, but still have a high quality film and material.
Yeah. And one thing to touch on with the DIY PPF, like I think you kind of mentioned it, like we created it. And I noticed that there was a need in the marketplace for instruction for the people that wanted to do it. Now, the DIY customer is not a customer that we're trying to create. We're not trying to create the DIY customer. These people exist and they don't go to a professional for anything. They're the people that are fixing the air conditioner on their house. They're the ones fixing their hot water tank. Like
Sure.
they're doing everything themselves and they can't fathom spending money on a professional unless they absolutely need it. And those are the customers that we cater to, and we provide them everything they need to have a successful install because they need the guidance. Because like you touched on, paint protection film, it's something that takes a long time to learn. And with us focusing just on one brand, we can really go really deep, go nerd level 9,000 like you like to say, and really make sure that we're teaching them what they need to do panel by panel to find success with their install.
I think that's really cool. We've talked a lot, off camera and getting to know each other. I've been extremely impressed with what you've put out there. I mean, basically when you purchase a kit like for the Cybertruck here, you are walking through every single panel, how to install it, giving tips and tricks. You do provide the tools with it as well. I mean, that is just a cool one-stop shop. So let's just say I'm a customer that just purchased a new Cybertruck. I don't like the stainless steel. It's annoying with fingerprints. What does this cost me to purchase from you to do at home by myself?
So the satin black will be $2,000 USD, and that will include all the panels pre-cut to fit, as well as the PPF install kit. And access to our academy where we've got panel by panel videos to kind of walk you through the installation.
Wow.
And then to top it off, because we're so confident in what we do, it's also backed by a risk-free guarantee. So if you're having an issue with your installation, you're not happy with how a panel goes, simply take a photo or a video of the issue you're having and then reach out to us, and then we'll walk through the process of getting that replacement. The only thing you pay when you file a risk-free guarantee is the shipping. We don't charge you anything for the actual replacement panel.
That's unbelievably impressive. Yep. So I know you're not a vinyl wrap installer, but I think we can kind of get a rough idea that if you were to do this in vinyl, and that's not having them pre-cut, all to the panel, you're having to take basically a bulk sheet. Yep. You're probably going to spend, I don't know, $800 to $1,000 on a roll of vinyl.
Easy.
If you're a normal customer,
yep.
if not even more. It very much depends on brand, how much you're getting. Cybertruck's a big vehicle. It uses a lot of material. But yeah, that seems like a crazy value for PPF. Now, I think we should really dive into, okay, why should somebody do paint protection film over vinyl? Now, I have my opinions. What are your kind of thoughts and feelings on it?
Yeah, so one thing you touched on earlier in the video was vinyl's really, really good for that quick aesthetic look. Like you can get the film on really quick. It's a nice dry application. But paint protection film, vinyl, it's super thin. And we got this stainless steel body underneath here. And this front end, this hood, this front bumper is going to be eating rocks on the highway and basically anything that's going to bounce off other vehicles on the highway. And when it penetrates the vinyl, you're going to have stainless steel showing everywhere. And it's going to look like zits.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, it's one thing to want to change the color of the Cybertruck. And personally, if I bought one, I would be wrapping it day one. But you want to have something on there that's going to last as well too. And with PPF being 8 mil thick, it can really take a lot of abuse before it actually starts to get penetrated by damage.
Okay. Yeah. And I totally agree with that. I've had, at this point, 3 vinyl wrapped vehicles that I've done myself. Honestly, I'm not the best vinyl wrap installer out there. That is not my thing. My thing is making cars look like this Camaro back here, paint correcting, compounding, polishing, get it absolutely dialed. Vinyl PPF is really not my thing. I used to be a certified XPEL installer, stopped doing it. But for me, vinyl just doesn't last. I really kind of think of it, especially, let's say you live out in sunny Southern California where a lot of these Cybertrucks are, places like Colorado that has a lot of UV. We have all 4 seasons here. We have 100 degrees in the summertime and, 10, 20 below in the winter. I really think out of vinyl, you're getting maybe 3 years.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And, talking about all of those rock chips and things, I know our friend Drew from Martian Wheels, he had kind of this Nardo gray wrap on his Model 3 Performance. Now, Drew is arguably very much like Kyle, extremely hard on vehicles, road trips the heck out of them, puts cars on track. His Model 3, the front end, hopefully I can find a photo of it. It was just completely pitted, and you're going to have the same thing here. So you're going to be replacing panels, and then you get into the thing of, vinyl oxidizes very differently from paint protection film. You tear off, let's say you get a bunch of rock chips here on the front. 2 years into it, you tear that off, put on a new piece, it's going to be a totally different color from the rest of the truck.
Yeah. And one thing that you haven't touched on is that vinyl, the longer it's on a vehicle, the less likely it's going to come off easily. Paint protection film, back in the early days, it would come off that same way too. You'd be spending hours removing it because you're taking it off in little 1-inch chunks.
Right.
Whereas now the material is so far advanced, just with the technology that these manufacturers are using to develop the film, that if you're using a steamer or you're using boiling hot water, you can actually peel the PPF off quite easily. It's still going to be time consuming, but nothing like 1-inch square chunks at a time.
Sure.
So
what do you expect total lifespan? Like, okay, first off, does your paint protection film come with a warranty like we see, XPEL, SunTech, all the other companies?
Yes, we have a 10-year warranty against yellowing and discoloration, which is consistent with XPEL, SunTech, 3M, all the big brands out there. Obviously, we don't warranty any of the installation because we're not the ones doing it.
Sure.
But if you were to take it to a professional PPF installer, you should should be getting that installer warranty as well too, along with the film warranty.
So that's really for lifting edges and
Yep.
things popping over time. That's been one of my biggest issues with paint protection film, especially clear and satin, is, you know, you get installers and they wrap the edges and then the edges pop and then it gets dirt under it and then it just starts to look terrible.
Yep.
We see a lot of that in the industry, dude. It's pretty crazy, like the stuff that people throw out there. I really think it's down to, you know, film. If you're okay with this, can we talk about, like, okay, what would a Cybertruck cost a normal shop in film, in paint protection
Yeah.
film?
Yeah.
$1,000, $1,500, maybe $2,000?
Yeah, you're right in that right ballpark there. Probably like 1,400 minimum, all the way up to, like, I've seen some rolls that are $2,500 for
Wow.
a 60-inch wide by 50-foot long roll, which these Cybertrucks, they use up every square inch of a 60 by 50 roll.
Do they really?
Yeah, it's a full PPF roll.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what these shops would be looking at for cost.
So then you consider that, you know, you're charging $8,000 plus for a full,
Yeah.
you know, PPF install on that.
Yeah.
They're making a lot of money in profit.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing we need to talk about, Cybertruck is one of the easier, would you say it's the easiest vehicle to PPF or vinyl wrap?
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to do a Cybertruck like this?
So if I had, now I've been doing this professionally since 2018 for PPF. If I was doing this and I had all the PPF pre-cut and I had my headphones in, nobody bothering me,
Yep.
2 to 3 hours, I could wrap
What?
this whole thing. Yeah.
2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, and I think any professional PPF installer that's watching this video would probably agree with that. And if they're not, they're just straight up lying.
So that's a crazy amount of profit in arguably very little time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm one of those proponents who, like, okay, you can understand that you're not paying you by the hourly rate. You're paying for your expertise and your experience. So I do understand that, but that is pretty insane because I've seen so many shops and a lot of people calling me, getting quotes for, you know, even to do just basic vinyl wrap. They're, you know, getting quotes for $6,000 here in Colorado, then $8,000 to $10,000 for paint protection film. And they're just like, I don't want to spend that on my truck I just spent, you know, $100,000 on. Now they're cheaper with non-foundation, but that starts adding up quite a bit. So this is where I kind of think, okay, the paint protection film side is more expensive, but you can also go this way of doing it by yourself. And I think arguably get some pretty amazing results. So you actually had the owner of this truck and Brandon Tesla Flex do a few panels. Can you point those out?
Yeah. And also the owner's wife as well too.
Oh, cool.
So A-pillars were done by the owner's wife, Nicole. The doors were done by Brandon and by Dan. And then, Dan's wife, Nicole, she also did the tailgate as well too. And then they all tackled the wrapping of the edges and the post heating and all that type of stuff. So they really tackled it all.
Yeah, I'm honestly blown away. You know, it's funny. I watched Brandon do his own Model 3 here and he started to get a hang of it and he was like, wow, this is actually pretty easy. And I'm over here like, dude, I've been through XPEL training. Like when you get into more complicated cars, obviously not Cybertruck or Model 3 and Model Y are pretty relatively basic vehicles to do. I mean, you've worked on something like this. These are a totally different animal, right?
Yeah, Camaro ZL1, any of those front bumpers, the rear bumpers, those are multi-hours to do them. Like myself as a professional, it's a 2.5, 3 hour front bumper.
So you can do a whole Cybertruck in the same time.
It takes me to do that front bumper. But that also includes the prep time, the wrapping, the post heating, making sure that there's not going to be any lifting edges, that type of thing.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
that's pretty unbelievable. So, you know, in my personal opinion, I've always had this kind of weird thinking with Cybertrucks of like, okay, we're going to take one of the world's toughest materials, or so Tesla says, in the stainless steel. You can kick the darn thing, you can slam doors into it, you can shoot it, and then you put vinyl over it, and you get a door ding in that, it's just going to immediately rip. Immediately rip. You're going to get rock chips on it. It's basically going to look like pimples all over the front end. Where the paint protection film is more in that realm of protecting what's underneath it. Now, do I really think you need to protect the stainless steel? No, I really don't.
No.
But I think this aesthetically is going to look way nicer over, the years to come as Dan is driving this around and enjoying it. And, God forbid he takes it to a grocery store, gets a door ding. He's not having to replace an entire door.
Yeah. Yeah, very much.
So your film here, do you sell this in many different colors? Are you like starting to roll that out? How's that go with, Teslas and specifically Cybertruck here?
That's a good question. We've been asked it multiple times. We started out with satin black because we wanted to kind of get a feel for what the market wanted.
Okay.
Now we do plan to roll out into other colors. It's just a matter of seeing what people are wanting as far as colors to go before we make that investment. But satin black seems to be the consensus that everybody really likes.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these and they look amazing, and that's why.
Yeah, and like the customers that we've had reaching out, like they're not really interested in the clear or the matte PPF. They're interested in completely changing it to satin black. So satin black seems to be the hit for now, but I mean, that's for now. Who knows?
Okay.
More colors will be coming.
Cool. I'm excited to see that. On one side too, if you're looking into vinyl, I think there is quite a lot more colors you can do just in general, from Avery, 3M, Anazatec, all these different ones, where PPF is really like, even if you go to Suntech, like they have quite a few options, but they're not like, 150, 160, 200 different color options. So you're a little bit more minimized on that.
Yeah, and that's the plan. We don't want to get too terribly crazy with offering 100 different colors, because every color that we offer, we have to stock multiple rolls of each.
Cost, of course.
And we're going to have to move into a bigger building just to stock all this stuff.
Sure.
So
you have a full warehouse.
Yeah. To be completely honest, satin black is where we're at today, but I can guarantee you that there will be more colors coming.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I mean, dude, I think one of the most impressive things with this, though, is just the feel of it. It looks so high quality. You don't have the terrible orange peel that you see in a lot of vinyl wrap and finishes like that. Like, this just looks perfectly smooth, perfectly even. Yeah. Now, one question I do have for you. So this has kind of a ceramic infused top coat, which we've been seeing in the PPF world for a while. Do you recommend that this gets ceramic coated after to have protection for your protection that protects the stainless steel?
Same thing I tell all my customers, it doesn't hurt it, but you don't have to do it. Now, one thing I will note, when you do a ceramic coating on top of this film, you do have to use more ceramic coating on the material as opposed to bare paint.
Okay.
Just because of how thick the material is, it's got to actually absorb it. So if you just put a thin layer on, you're not going to get a whole lot of life out of that ceramic coating. So when I've done them, I lay it on fairly thick. Like, I'll take a 50 ml ceramic coating bottle, and there's not much left by the time I'm
really
done. Yeah.
So I'd be interested to try out Pan the Organizer's brand new ceramic coating on this. I talked to Dan about maybe doing that to his truck, because I think you've said the hydrophobic nature of basically this paint protection film isn't quite as strong as a full strength ceramic coating. Am I right?
Yeah. And I'll always tell customers that when they're buying our PPF, like, if they want to have the best of both worlds of the actual impact protection and the crazy washing abilities that ceramic coatings bring, get both, because our film's not going to deliver both. It'll deliver both for a small amount of time, but that ceramic infused top coat is not going to last like Pan ceramic coating would.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think the cool thing, with some new coatings coming out, I've used, Geon Matte. I've worked on Kyle's Polestar 1 that has a very similar finish to this. Obviously, it's a painted finish directly from Polestar. But I really would like to play with Pan's coating. So maybe I'll talk to Dan and see if he wants to do his truck here. Yeah. That could be pretty interesting long-term test. Now, I'm of the belief, and I know a lot of people are going to kind of disagree with this, but I really think paint protection film does need a ceramic coating because it is naturally more porous. It's more flexible than paint, in this case, stainless steel. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt it. That's for sure.
For sure. Cool. Well, man, I think we pretty much covered this. I am just truly blown away with the finish of it. I think it looks incredible on here. Anything else you want to toss in this video for people to know? Of course, we're going to link all of Eric's stuff down in the description below if you're interested in doing this to your truck. Now, are you going to be making house calls more and more often? Is that going to be your thing or no?
Hey, money talks.
So if you're interested in having Eric quite literally come personally to your house and install it, you did this in Dan's garage.
Yep.
I mean, you're not working out of my shop here. We did Brandon's here. I unfortunately didn't have enough time and space to be able to do it, but you'll come and do it, which is freaking awesome. So we'll leave all of your stuff in there. Any other thoughts you have though on PPF, vinyl, Cybertruck, any of that?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing that I kind of want to get across is for those people that are on the fence, whether they got a Cybertruck or any other Tesla and they want to wrap it, it is definitely doable. If you're a do-it-yourself kind of guy, you don't want to go to a professional for really anything, and this is a project you want to tackle, we'd love to walk you along the path of wrapping your own vehicle, whether it be a Cybertruck in satin black or a brand new Model 3 Highland in clear PPF. Like, it doesn't really matter. And just one thing to reiterate with the Cybertruck, when I say this is the easiest vehicle in the world to wrap, it truly is. Like, it is incredible. There's next to no stretching required, which is the one thing that people struggle with the most, is the stretching. And these patterns, the way we've developed them, they just fit. They just fit right in place. So yeah, there's relief cuts where there's relief cuts needed, and there's wrapped edges where wrapped edges are needed, and that type of thing. And like, this truck is the perfect canvas for a DIY wrap because all the edges are very easy to wrap. Hardest edge being the front of the front doors here.
Okay.
It just requires a bit more time and attention to getting those down. But other than that, this is the perfect vehicle to learn how to wrap with. So
interesting.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to point out is we talked last night. I actually came to Dan's house to check this out. You were saying that something's happened with later VIN Cybertrucks in terms of edges. Can you explain a little bit on that?
So the first two Cybertrucks I wrapped were early VINs, and I don't remember the numbers what they were, but it was in April and in June when I did them.
So pretty fresh.
Yeah. So like it's been about 6 months since I've personally wrapped one. Now, the thing that I noticed then was the PPF was so easy to go on, but it did not matter how you prep the edges, how much adhesion promoter you use on the edges, which is a big no-no in the paint protection film industry, is if you have to use adhesion promoter, you should probably get out of the industry. But at that point in time, it did not matter how much stuff you put on those edges, they just would not stick. And that was my biggest concern coming down and watching Brandon and Dan do this truck was like, okay, we know we're going to get the PPF on in a relatively short amount of time and it's going to look good, but the wrap's not going to look good if the edges don't look good.
Yeah, edges are, I mean, wraps, PPF, anything is really all down to the edges. I mean, you have a big canvas to work on here, but it's the edges that make all the difference. Now, if you want to pop open this door here, if it's still unlocked, I just want to see how the edges work on here. So I think one of the tricky things with Cybertruck is you have this raw stainless, and I can feel this even here. It's kind of oily. And you were talking about this, that you kind of felt like the edges stick down easier. Maybe my thought is because of the lack of oil that is actually sitting in here. Now they've changed something. Okay. So I'll try and explain this for the stainless steel people who have been following Cybertruck. On early VIN Cybertrucks, you would get this kind of darker tinged band on the door. It'd be on basically the rear edge of the door, the leading edge of the next, even up here. And it was because I believe they were laser welding inside the actual door there. And they used a lot of oil or something throughout there. I was seeing fingerprints that would be permanently stained in the stainless steel. And I think that was down to they were using oil during the manufacturing process. I don't know if they fixed that. And now that's why we're seeing edges being easier to lay down.
These edges, like, I was mind blown. Like, we wrapped them once and we post heated them and they haven't popped.
Wow.
And like, I know that sounds wild for me to say that, but with earlier VIN Cybertrucks that I was working on, I would spend the majority of my time just trying to make sure that those edges are down there, even going as far as sometimes using a butane torch to melt the film into place. How ridiculous is that? And I've also talked to other vinyl wrap and paint protection film installers on the market, and they were having the same issues as well too. So I was very impressed with the way these edges went down. So it gave me even more confidence in the ability for customers to DIY these trucks.
That's pretty interesting. And I think there are always, a lot of people need to understand the difference between vinyl and paint protection film. I feel like vinyl around edges goes down easier because you don't have slip solution, water, alcohol that you're using in there during the install of PPF. So I do think it's easier in that regard, but on top of it, it's also a lot thinner. So it's not actually providing protection. You're just doing it for an aesthetic change, where I see a lot of edges on paint protection film pop because people don't wait and post heat them and do everything properly. I mean, same on vinyl, arguably, but yeah, I mean, I truly think this looks way better than any of the other vinyl wrap trucks I've seen. I've been around a ton of Cybertrucks at this point. This one has absolutely the best finish I've seen on any of them, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't been around nearly as many as you, and I would agree that the fit and finish and the panel gap consistency on this truck was phenomenal.
It looks great. Now, one area we're going to point out here that I quickly just want to touch on, these are never the same on any truck. This edge here, it's completely different to the other side. How does that work if you're getting a pre-cut kit from you? Are you oversizing them, or do you have like one truck that you've made the kit for and then people have to kind of work that? How does that work?
Yes, that's a really great question. I'm glad you brought that up, Colton. So our PPF templates, what we did was we permanently added an extra 1/4 inch in width on the front here. And what we do is we tell customers that we don't know what the front of their A-pillar is going to look like. So if there's a bunch of excess material there, trim it off, use a scissor to cut off whatever's unneeded. And it's just our way of making sure that we'd rather them have too much than not enough.
Right.
Because if this truck's going satin black and there's a 1/4 inch of stainless steel here, this isn't going to look good. So we'd rather give the customer more. And I hope that Tesla can nail this in the near future, where there's more consistency in these. But
yeah, dude, like this side is totally different.
Yeah.
This side fits completely different. And I remember when we did the build quality review here on Dan's truck, this side was the tightest I've ever seen on any Cybertruck. And this side was more kind of what I've seen. So I'm hopeful to see that Tesla is going to get these dialed in, and it's going to make your life easier, the PPF and all of that easier for people to do. But I mean, I really think this is a very doable project. I wish I would have been there to install it to see myself. You know, I've been in the PPF world before, very much gotten out of it. But yeah, dude, it looks incredible. So if you guys need to get your Cybertruck done, you want to take on the project at home and save yourself quite a lot of money. I mean, we're talking like, potentially $6,000 and doing PPF here. Pretty insane. So I'll leave all of Eric's stuff in the description below. Eric, appreciate you bringing this thing over. Heck of a job on this. It looks phenomenal.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you being here on the channel.
You bet.
Thanks so much for watching another out of spec detailing video. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.